Tomorrow, the House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection is going to hold another hearing, and it's going to focus on two top Georgia election officials, Secretary of State Brad Raffensberger and his deputy, Gabriel Sterling. The committee hopes their testimony helps shine a light on Donald Trump's actions to overturn the election results prior to the riot on January 6th. ABC's Katherine Faulders is tracking it all. She joins me now. Katherine, you've been following this, every detail of it. Let's talk about Brad Raffensberger. He's the guy who resisted pressure from Trump when Trump was trying to muscle him to, quote, find enough votes to reverse the loss in that state. Gabriel Sterling, he made impassioned speeches to debunk what he called election misinformation. So what should we expect from him? How important are these witnesses for the story as a whole? What does the committee want to do with them?
Yeah, so Terry, we heard about that pressure campaign on Mike Pence. This is going to be focused on Trump's pressure campaign on the states. We'll hear about Georgia, that phone call that you mentioned, also Arizona, for example. There's going to be a focus on these fake slates of electors that we've been talking about. We know that members of the committee, they've claimed that they have evidence that directly ties Trump to being involved in this elector scheme. There is likely going to be a focus on that as well. Now, it's going to be interesting to watch this hearing because, Terry, as you know, there's also an investigation going on in Georgia in the Fulton County DA's office. They're investigating whether they believe Trump broke any state laws as it related to overturning the election. We know that Raffensberger has met with this special grand jury behind closed doors, so he is intimately involved in that investigation as well. So, look, we'll see what he says, if anything, about that. But what I'm watching for is this evidence that members claim directly ties the former president to this fake elector scheme, which we know the Department of Justice is also investigating.
And let's talk about that. So you have this congressional investigation, the job of which is to lay out the record, to inform the American public about what happened, to look for legislative solutions, if any, to what went down. And then the Justice Department is supposed to investigate wrongdoing. And last week, the Justice Department accused the committee of actually hindering its criminal investigation by withholding transcripts from all these witness interviews that the committee has done. What is this tension about, and how do you think it's going to impact the rest of these hearings?
So there's been a tension there for quite some time. Terry, you remember that members were speaking out when it was taking so long for the Department of Justice to make a decision about whether to criminally charge the former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. So there was public dispute on display. But this behind-the-scenes dispute, as you saw in that letter, is really angering, I would say, DOJ, right? They want these transcripts. They've submitted this broad request to the committee. They want all of the transcripts from all of the witnesses who the committee has talked to. That's over 1,000 witnesses. The committee is saying, no, we're not going to stop our work and give those to you. But we're told that they could begin the process of turning these over to DOJ as soon as July. Again, it will take some time. But members of the committee aren't particularly interested in stopping their hearings, they say, which they would have to do to help accommodate DOJ. We know from Adam Schiff, who was on some of the cables last week, he says that they aren't familiar. They've never received a request from DOJ that's this big. But in terms of whether it will impact the hearings and the outcome of the hearings, I don't think it will. DOJ's investigation is obviously still ongoing. But look, clearly they're seeing evidence that they want and that they need in their criminal probe.
And that investigation has among its targets or suspects, I suppose, Donald Trump. And that new ABC News Ipsos poll finds nearly 6 in 10 Americans believe Trump should be charged for his role in the insurrection. A lot of Democrats think that it's a slam dunk case, but it might not be. What precedent would it set if the former president was indicted? Is it a winnable case? And how would Trump supporters react?
Look, I think the easy answer to that question is that Trump supporters would obviously react and say that this is political by Joe Biden's Department of Justice. But to your point about, is this a winnable case? This is the calculation that Attorney General Merrick Garland has to make. And look, he could have already made this calculation, and we don't know. But in terms of whether it's a winnable case, that's a hard bar in terms of the precedent that it would set. But look, it's clear that from our reporting and subpoenas that have been given to whether they be these fake electors, whether they be close allies of the former president, that they are narrowing and broadening their investigation beyond just January 6th and to people close to the White House, for example.
And former President Trump, he's talked about running again. The other day, he pledged that if he were elected again, he would consider pardoning all those who have been prosecuted and convicted in our courts of law for the insurrection. He said it was just a simple protest that got out of hand. So how much of a difference is this committee making in winning hearts and minds of Americans to the committee's own position that this was a great danger to the country, what happened that day?
Yeah, and look, I think sources I've talked to on the committee who have been working behind the scenes on this know that this is their challenge. How many minds do they sway? That's just, something that has to, at the end of the day, be determined. But I will say that what you just mentioned about Trump and endorsing this, if he wins, saying that he'll pardon all of these people, but I think what he's also endorsing is something like this to happen again, potentially in 2024. If he loses, right, by saying the election was rigged again. I think it's been interesting to see these video clips, Terry, of what congressional investigators have been playing in the hearing room from a lot of these rioters who have appeared in court and given depositions to the committee. They have this Trump told me to do it defense. So we'll see more of that as well.
And we'll see how that works. Katherine Faulders, thanks very much. I know you'll be keeping track of that for us all week. Thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.